aren't anymore. Here's a little story. Harry and Meghan are in the news after appearing on MasterChef Australia. And I think you'll see something that looks a little bit like it might have been set up. Let's have a look.
We've had a phone call to studio.
Hi! My husband's here. I'm watching the judges. Oh my gosh.
What's going on? Have I interrupted something?
Well, we are actually in the middle of tasting all of the dishes. We have 4 incredible cooks here.
And I'll see you later.
Okay, I'll see you later. Say bye to everybody. And there's the crew.
What a lovely surprise. Honestly, I'm still chuffed.
He's a charmer, isn't he?
Yeah.
I'd better not say what I'm thinking.
I'll tell you what,
I thought the Duke of Edinburgh would be spinning.
I'll tell you what,
That's
right?
why I shouldn't say it.
I'm a big fan of them, actually. I like Meghan and Harry, and I like the way that they've challenged the institution. I like what they've got to say for themselves. They're a bit cringe, aren't they?
Everything is charm offensive. I mean, she's appearing as a guest judge on this cooking series, and this idea that he made an unexpected call. Oh, hi, I'm just in the middle of working at the moment. I mean, we all have that. My husband once texted me about saying we had no milk while I was on this programme. You know, so I do understand the part of it, but you would think
that was unexpected.
That was unexpected. Whereas you could expect, you know, she's going, I'm out now. I'm in Australia judging a major cooking series. Oh, okay, I'll ring you later, darling. So there is, you're right, there's something a bit cheesy about them. I think
it's all right.
in the end, it's not.
I don't
It's not going to hurt it. Exactly. It won't hurt.
And look, there was a lot of affection for them, wasn't there?
Yeah, and I think always when I see Harry, I go back to Diana and I think of that little boy forced to stand and walk behind the coffin and what that did to him, and I think that we're still seeing this played out now.
Without question.
Oh, no doubt.
But equally, there was such a reservoir of goodwill when he brought Meghan home. We wanted it to work. We didn't want this kind of tantrumy behaviour. We wanted it just to be a happy ending, and it didn't sort of go that way.
I think they should. They're allowed to have the life they want to have, and you're right with seeing this play out. In as much as he wants to detach from this institution that he feels has oppressed him for his life. And I think that's.
I think
so why is she still the
I think he's going to come back. I think the last few months I thought he's homesick.
He wants to reconcile with his father.
You need to come back for football, apart from anything else.
You don't till 120, as they say in my culture. We don't want him to have to come back for his father's passing. We want him to be with the living, not the dead. You know, that's
so true.
That's the trick.
So
that's
true.
the thing.
In the Sun, Daryl has the story about
Squaddies, we need to talk. Because somewhere between a genuinely sweet surprise phone call on MasterChef Australia and a British daytime panel show, something went very, very wrong. What should have been a 2-minute feel-good clip turned into a masterclass, no pun intended, in how the UK media machine cannot, will not, and does not know how to talk about Prince Harry and Meghan without either twisting the knife or living in complete fantasy land. So today we're breaking down the Jeremy Vine panel segment that dropped after Harry's little cameo appearance on MasterChef Australia, the one where Meghan is guest judging and Harry rings in to surprise the contestants. We're going to talk about what actually happened. We're going to talk about who was on that panel. And we're going to talk about one panellist in particular, Angela Epstein, who has built an entire media career out of being professionally allergic to Meghan. And then we're going to get into Jeremy Vine himself, who ended the segment with a take so detached from reality that even some of his own viewers were shaking their heads. Let's start with the actual story, because, shocker, the actual story is not that deep. Meghan appeared as a guest judge on MasterChef Australia. During filming, Harry rang in to surprise the contestants and, from the sound of it, the judges too. Everyone in that kitchen looked genuinely delighted. It was warm, it was a little bit cheesy, sure. Nobody's pretending a surprise phone call mid-cook-off isn't a produced television moment, because that's what television is. But it was harmless, it was fun. It gave people watching at home a nice little dose of, oh, that's sweet. That's it, that's the story. A couple laughing together on a cooking show. But because it's Harry and Meghan, a couple laughing together on a cooking show cannot simply be a couple laughing together on a cooking show. It has to be dissected, psychoanalyzed, and turned into a referendum on their entire marriage, their parenting, their finances, their relationship with the monarchy, and apparently, according to Jeremy Vine, Harry's marital status. We'll get to that in a minute, because it's genuinely one of the strangest things said on British television this year, and that's saying something. Now let's talk about Angela Epstein, because if you've watched enough of these panel shows, you already know the type. She's a print journalist turned rent-a-quote panellist, and she has made her name, or at least her recurring TV bookings, off being the designated no-thank-you voice whenever Meghan's name comes up. Doesn't matter what Meghan does, doesn't matter the context. Angela's take is preloaded before the segment even starts. And here's what's wild about her commentary in this clip. She reaches all the way back to try and rewrite history about how the British press treated Meghan while she was a working royal. She frames it, and we're paraphrasing here, squaddies, because you know we don't do verbatim reproduction of other people's broadcasts, we give you the receipts and the breakdown. She frames it like there was this beautiful reservoir of goodwill, this warm embrace from the UK, and that Meghan and Harry just squandered it. Like the tabloids were sending love letters, like the front pages weren't running comparison pieces about biracial breeding and pointing out Meghan touched her own stomach like it was breaking news. That's not revisionist history. That's not even history. That's fan fiction with a byline attached. Because let's remember what actually happened. We have years of front-page hit pieces. We have the banana story. We have the Duchess of Doubt. We have the constant unfavourable side-by-side comparisons to other royal women that always broke in Meghan's disfavour, no matter how identical the behaviour. We have op-eds questioning her mental health, her motives, her family, her worth. This is not ancient history, squaddies. This is a documented, searchable, screenshotable record. The receipts exist. They will always exist. And no amount of panel show revisionism from Angela Epstein is going to erase them. What Angela is really doing here, and this is the part that's important for you to clock, is she's doing the thing the tabloid machine always does. She's trying to retroactively soften the press's own record so that Harry and Meghan's decision to leave looks unreasonable, dramatic, ungrateful. If there was goodwill, if the coverage was actually warm and welcoming, then leaving looks like an overreaction, doesn't it? That's the narrative Angela needs to sell. Except it falls apart the second you actually go back and look at what was published. And then there's the other part of her comments. The idea that Harry needs to go back to the living, to be with his cruel, abusive family, as she puts it, framing it as though staying away from an institution that by his own account and Meghan's own account caused them documented harm is somehow the unreasonable choice. This is a man who has spoken on the record about the toll royal life took on his mental health. This is a family situation where the institution's own inaction around press coverage, as Harry has said himself, was a driving factor in why they left. And Angela's answer to that is, go back anyway. Go be with the people who hurt you, because family is family, regardless of what that family did or didn't do to protect you. That's not concern. That's not compassion. That's an agenda dressed up as concern. Now, here's where it gets almost comedic, squaddies, because Jeremy Vine closes out the segment with a line that suggests Harry is homesick and hints that he might be coming back to the UK, back to royal duties, back to the fold. And the way he phrases it, it's almost like he's implying Harry might be coming back single too. Like this whole segment somehow needed a subtext about the state of Harry's marriage. Let's just sit with that for a second. This is a grown man, a father of 2, married for 8 years, who has built an entire post-royal life, a foundation, a production company, a wellness brand, a home, a family, thousands of miles away from the institution that failed to protect his wife and, by his own account, drove them out. And Jeremy Vine's takeaway from a cute surprise phone call on an Australian cooking show is, he's coming home? Solo? Where is this coming from? What in that clip suggested anything close to that? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. This is projection, pure and simple. This is a media personality so deeply invested in the fantasy of the firm wins in the end, that he cannot process a simple, happy, throwaway television moment without spinning it into a homecoming narrative that exists nowhere except in his own head. And this matters, squaddies, because this is exactly the kind of commentary that keeps the tabloid machine running. It's not just Angela Epstein's revisionism. It's Jeremy Vine, sitting in the host chair, supposedly the neutral party, planting a completely unfounded narrative and letting it hang in the air unchallenged. That's how these things spread. Someone says it on a panel show, a clip gets cut, headlines follow, and suddenly there's a Harry secretly wants to come home cycle running for a week based on absolutely nothing. Now, here's the part that actually gives us a little bit of hope, squaddies. Because the original tweet breaking this down picked up replies almost instantly, and the sentiment was not kind to either Vine or Epstein. One reply said it outright. They find Vine irritating, but they absolutely loathe Angela Epstein. Another commenter summed up the entire panel dynamic in 2 words: jealous people. And honestly, that tracks. Because when you strip away the media analysis, the historical revisionism, the concerned framing about Harry needing to come home, what you're left with is a group of people who cannot stand watching Harry and Meghan be happy, successful and thriving on their own terms, away from an institution that never deserved them in the first place. It's not concern. It's not journalism. It's discomfort with the fact that 2 people left, built something new and didn't fall apart the way certain commentators desperately wanted them to. That discomfort is the entire engine behind segments like this one. It's why a genuinely sweet MasterChef moment gets turned into a referendum on Meghan's media treatment and a fantasy about Harry's marital status. Because the alternative, just letting the clip be a nice clip, doesn't generate outrage, doesn't generate bookings for professional Meghan critics, and doesn't keep the tabloid cycle spinning. Squaddies, this is a pattern you've seen from us before, and you're going to keep seeing it because it keeps happening. Harry and Meghan cannot have a nice moment, a genuinely wholesome, low-stakes, feel-good moment, without a segment of UK media deciding it needs to be reframed as evidence of dysfunction, regret, or an imminent return to the fold. Think about it. This wasn't a political statement. This wasn't a lawsuit update. This wasn't even Sussex-branded content. This was Harry surprising his wife's co-workers on an Australian reality show. And somehow it became a springboard for a panellist to rewrite years of documented tabloid hostility, and for a host to suggest Harry's marriage might be quietly ending. That's the double standard we talk about on this channel constantly. When William makes a low-key public appearance, it's framed as steady, dutiful, reassuring. When Harry makes a low-key public appearance, even one that has nothing to do with royal duties at all, it gets filtered through a lens of, is this a sign he wants back in? Or Is this proof his marriage is failing? There is no scenario in which Harry gets to just exist, without commentary attaching some larger meaning to it that conveniently always points back toward the institution winning. And Angela Epstein's comments are a perfect example of why this keeps happening. As long as commentators are allowed to go on air and casually rewrite the historical record, pretending the UK press was warm and welcoming to Meghan when the receipts say otherwise, the narrative that Harry and Meghan overreacted by leaving gets to keep circulating unchallenged. That's not commentary. That's narrative laundering. For those of you who've been with this channel a while, you know why we do these breakdowns. It's not about being obsessive over a panel show clip. It's about tracking the pattern, because the pattern is the story. Every single time Harry or Meghan has a positive moment, you can set your watch by how fast a UK media personality shows up to reframe it as something negative, something suspicious, or something that proves the institution was right all along. This MasterChef clip should have been a 30-second feel-good story that everyone moved on from. Instead, it became a vehicle for one panelist's revisionist history and another's fantasy about Harry's marriage. That's not an accident. That's the business model. Outrage and speculation drive clicks, drive bookings, drive relevance for people like Angela Epstein, who have built entire commentary careers on being the designated Meghan skeptic. And that's exactly why we keep the receipts. Every clip like this, every panel segment, every headline, we track it, we break it down, and we hand it to you so you can see the pattern for yourselves instead of just absorbing whatever the tabloid machine feeds you. Because the moment you can see the pattern, the spin stops working on you. So that's today's breakdown, squaddies. A cute surprise phone call twisted into revisionist history and a wildly unfounded Harry's coming home fantasy, all in the space of one panel segment. Same story, different day, same tabloid machine trying to write a narrative that reality simply does not support. If this kind of breakdown is exactly what you come to this channel for, you already know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, tap the bell so you don't miss the next one, and drop a comment, letting me know what you thought about Angela Epstein's revisionist take or Jeremy Vine's homesick theory. I read every single one, and honestly, your comments are half the fun of doing this. We've got more coverage coming on the Sussexes this week, so if you're not subscribed yet, now's the time. Until next time, squaddies, stay sharp, stay skeptical of the tabloid machine, and I'll see you in the next video.